Thank you very much, Steve, and thank you, Wayne, and welcome to everybody this morning. And I think we've already discussed the Eurovision contest last night, and I think we're all very excited that we didn't get nil point, but we actually came second. I just wanted to introduce the public image team to you, first of all, and let you know what their responsibilities are. First of all, we've got Maggie Abbott. She will be talking to you later. Maggie is a member of Swansea Rotary. She looks after the district Twitter and Instagram accounts. As an ex-journalist, she also compiles our press releases and liaises with the press. And Maggie is also one of the spokespersons for our district on our crisis management team. We also have Andrew Pippin. Now, unfortunately, he's not with us today, but he's from Henshleys Rotary and looks after our district social media and YouTube channel. And we also have Megan Hopkins, unfortunately, again, not with us today, but she's a member of Cardiff East and helps Andrew with our district social media. And together they work with individual clubs to help set up or improve their social media platforms. Ian, who you will be seeing today, because from Swansea Rotary, he's our IT officer and is also our website administrator, leading a team comprising Bob Wilson and Steve Jenkins. And these are happy to help you with any queries you may have with your club websites. However, any support you might need with your club website, Ian would be your first point of contact, and he will then point you to the correct person to help you out. We'll also have Rob Lloyd joining us this morning. He's a member of Llanelli Rotary and is our district public relations officer. Rob is our advisor and spokesman for the district, especially in his role as a member of our crisis management team. So that's the team, and I'm the leader of the team for my sins. But what I would ask you to do to help us out is to ask you to ensure that whoever is responsible for your public image or public relations in your club, that those names and contact details are uploaded to DMS, and we can then send the any information as necessary to them, rather than be bothering your president or the secretary, because I believe they already have enough to deal with. So our session this morning is timed for around about 2 hours. We've already had the first quarter of an hour. This will, you'll be pleased to know, include a comfort break, which will be half an hour halfway through. But first of all, I must congratulate every one of you, because during the last couple of years, you have listened to us and you really have improved your social media presence and ensured that your Rotary branding is correct. So we don't plan to go over all the basics again this morning about how you should be branding, etc., because most of you now know about this. I would emphasize, though, that for all those Welsh-speaking clubs, Rotary is still spelt with an I, with a Y, not an I, because it is a Rotary brand. So please keep it at Rotary with a Y. So basically, the presentations on social media and branding are still available if you want to refer to them, and you will find them in the members only area within the leadership and training pages. But I'm sure you'll all agree there's always room for improvement, and we are more than happy to help you with any queries relating to your club's social media and other public image information, as I say, especially the correct branding. So please keep in touch with me and I will point you to the best person to deal with any of your queries. Now, I do appreciate that we have members joining us this morning who do not have their own social media accounts. Please don't be put off when we're talking about the various social media platforms, because although you may not have or want your own account, you can still log into your club and the district pages to check information. So can I ask you please to think Rotary, and in particular your club, and not personal accounts, okay? So don't worry if you haven't got Facebook or Twitter or anything else. Plus, we really need and value your input during this morning's sessions. Now, COVID restrictions have now been lifted and you are getting out and about again, planning and holding outdoor fundraising and awareness events. So this morning, we thought we would have some fun and discuss all the steps we should be taking to plan a successful event. This will include using social media as one of the mediums for supporting your publicity. But first, let's take a look at a video showing why social media can help promote your event. So Ian has lined up a video what social media can do for you. Thanks, Ian.
What can social media do for you? Check this out. It's a true story. Meet Paul. He's a Rotarian who likes to swim. In 2012, he used social media to promote his club's global swim marathon. With email, Facebook, Twitter, Skype, Google Maps, YouTube, and a blog, Paul spread the word. More than 200 clubs on 6 continents signed up. The big day came, February 25th. During 1 hour across 15 time zones, 4,546 people between 8 and 93 years old each swam 100 meters. If you're counting, that's 454 kilometers. The swim marathon raised more than $100,000 for polio eradication. It set a Guinness World Record, got headlines all over the world, and a whole bunch more people learned about Rotary. Since then, Paul's club has inducted 16 new members. Coincidence? Social media helped Paul communicate his idea, create enthusiasm, raise money, increase membership, and spread the word about Rotary. Oh, and a year later, the club's next swim marathon was even more successful. So think about it. What can social media do for you?
Thanks, Ian. So basically, as I said earlier, please think your club and Rotary and not personal when you're looking at Facebook and using social media. Okay, the links to the videos that we show this morning are available in the public image section of the district website, but we will also send out the links to enable you to share this with your club members if you would like to. And we will talk more about resources later. And to expand on what you've seen in that first video, Andrew, our social media guru, is going to give you more information on the use of hashtags, plus a few more ideas to improve your reach on social media. Now, unfortunately, Andrew can't be with us this morning. He's down in St Ives. He made me feel very jealous yesterday by sending me photographs. He's actually selling his chocolate brownies at the food festival in St Ives. Other brownies are also available, but he has sent us a recorded message. So Ian, I think you've got that in hand to put up Andrew's recording. We've got it.
Hello, fellow Rotarians. As you probably know by now, I'm not actually with you this weekend, but I am going to run through a few things for public image. Maggie has asked me to go through hashtags again and to run through basic making of videos again. So I am in fact going to be editing in a little bit of last year's video into this presentation. And 2 new things, because I'm going to show you how to pin a post on Facebook, which means that it remains at the top of your Facebook page all of the time and it doesn't disappear when you then add new things to it. And then lastly, we're going to be doing a little bit of creating videos to be able to give one-on-one presentations for you to be able to throw on Facebook and Instagram nice and quickly. So without further ado, I shall be putting on the video of hashtags and using Canva to create short videos. Thank you.
So first of all, I have brought you to all-hashtag.com. Now, just a quick note of explanation. Hashtags are what get you into search systems and what get you through the algorithms. All we want is for our posts to end up on as many people's news feeds as possible and in as many people's search results as possible. Now, when you look at professional posts, what you tend to see is 15 to 20 to 30 sometimes hashtags at the bottom of their posts. Now, if you've ever tried to do that manually, I run out of ideas after about 5. Okay, so what this website does is this website actually gives you those hashtags to copy and paste into your posts. So we're going to imagine you've already created your post. That's on another window of your internet browser, and you now want to just put in your hashtags. So for now, we're going to do a simple one, and we're just going to type in charity. As you can see, I click generate. It's a little bit confusing because that cog makes it look like it's doing something and it's not. So I click generate. And as you can see, we move down, and what it's done is created the top 30 hashtags that link to charity. Now, you may say half of those things aren't relevant to my post. Does it matter? We've got charity water. We've got charity shop finds. We've got charity mania. We've got charity concert. If you turn up in people's searches, that is a positive. So if I were you, I wouldn't be too picky. Just get those hashtags on the bottom, copy and paste them, and get your post posted, okay? And you will end up in more searches and you will end up on more news feeds. So that is all-hashtags.com. There are paid versions of sites like this. As you can see, this is full of advertising, but that's because it's free. So they function by getting people to put advertising on their site. Okay, so that is all-hashtags.com. Another top tip for 2021 is to actually use videos as much as you possibly can. Moving images are bound to catch the eye more than just a flat picture. Now, pictures and memes, so that's a picture with writing on it, are actually very effective at catching people's attention and giving people quick snippets of information, whereas a video may actually make someone click onto it and read more about it. Now, I'm going to take you through some paid sites and then we're going to look at a free one. So this is actually Facebook Mobile Studio. If you Google Facebook Mobile Studio, you will come to this. And there are apps on here which are designed to operate with Facebook and Instagram, because of course, Instagram is owned by Facebook. So as you can see, each one of these is actually a different app. So for example, we've got Unfold, we've got Mojo, and I believe this one is Adobe Spark Post. There we go, Adobe Spark Post. Basically, these are all paid video creations. I think Boomerang might be free, which is this one, which when you see those ones that go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, again, very eye-catching. People stop and want to see what's going on. But most of them are paid for. If you want to do a really simple video that's free, we go back to Canva. Now, of course, Mary Adams gave an excellent Canva demonstration at one of our multi-district seminars a few months ago. So I do point you towards our YouTube channel, Rotary in Southern Wales, in order to actually look up how to use Canva. But as you can see, you have a video option. And other than that, it's exactly the same. So if we go to Facebook video, and if you've actually taken a little video, so maybe a 10-second video or a short video, which just gives you a bit of background or a quick question, you upload it by going to Uploads on the left-hand side, and you can upload videos, as you can see. For example, I just created a normal picture image through Canva in the normal way, but then I transferred it into video because you could actually choose that here, as you can see. Now, you can have multiple different animations. All of them just create that slightly different visual effect. I think I went for breathe in the end, which is why that one was there. You can adjust the time here where it says 10 seconds. You can make it longer or shorter, or you can just go back to none and just have it as a nice flat image. Okay, so that's how to create a nice quick picture, a quick video.
Now, we're going to be looking at pinning posts. So I've got a short video and I'm going to talk through it so you can see what I'm doing on my phone as I do it. So first of all, as you can see, this is just recording the screen. You open up Facebook and you scroll down and you find the post that you want to pin to the top. So this is the Rotary District 1150 page, and I am looking for our May post, which we'll get there in a moment, which is this one, Youth Service Month. So I click the 3 dots at the top of that post, and then I click Pin Post. And you find that immediately that post is now pinned. It's got a little banner on it, and it shows that this will remain at the top of your page. Now, a popular method of communicating with your social media audience is to literally post a video of you talking to them. So the classic thought process is that you are presenting in the same way as a television presenter presents to their audience. Now, there's a distinction between recording a video and creating a quick video and using Facebook Live. There's a downside to Facebook Live. On Facebook Live, you have to wait for people to actually log in and watch what you're doing. So you'll see a little number in the corner after you've pressed go live, and it will tell you how many people are watching. Now, that can be relatively disappointing when you've been sat there for 2 minutes and there's still only 6 people watching. So sometimes the best way to do it can actually be to film yourself doing a quick video and then to upload that to Facebook itself. And then that's going to sit there. You haven't got this big gap at the beginning where you're waiting for people to join, and you can get right to the point. I'm just going to show you a quick example of one that I have done for my Chalk Shop stall last year during the summer. Something very basic, just improvised. Obviously, it wasn't scripted. You'll be able to see that in a moment. And I'm just going to show you that for a second to give you an example. So today's escapades are that Chalk Shop Somerset is out at the Mid-Somerset Field and Fair. As you can see, there's lots of punters there, lots of cars, and the Chalk Shop stall is behind me somewhere. Behind me somewhere is there. As you can see in the distance with our flag in the background there. So we are enjoying it. If you happen to be in the Bristol area today, then head on down, because we're here and we're ready for you to enjoy some brownies. So as you can see, what I did there is that I introduced the context, I described where we were, I talked about other people and what's going on around me, and then I described the actual function of why I'm there for the Chalk Shop brownies, for example. So if you wanted to do something similar, you could literally just get someone to hold the camera. I'm holding the camera there myself, but if you could get someone to hold the camera, you just introduce where you are, what you're doing, and why you're there. You might be stood next to your Rotary stand saying, we've got lots of leaflets, we're looking forward to seeing you, or we've got a raffle, we're in the town centre and we're looking for you and we want you to come and speak to us, please come and speak to us. And you just trip something nice and pleasurable for someone to see, because what you'll find is if you do a video that's about 30 seconds long, people will watch it, people will know you're there, and they're more likely to spend time watching a 30-second video than they are necessarily reading a couple of paragraphs on a post. So it can be really good for you're there, you're on site, you want to put a post up straight away, you don't want to write loads and loads of paragraphs that no one's going to read, so what you want to do is get that camera on and just present. Make mistakes, delete videos. You don't have to do the first version. Just push record and then upload the video that you're happy with once you've actually completed it. So there we go. I hope this presentation was useful. A little bit whirlpool, whirlwind this time, but I hope that we've looked at hashtags. I hope you now know how to pin a post on your Facebook page. I hope you know how to create short videos using Facebook, and hopefully now just a couple of tips for all you experts out there who I'm sure are going to be wonderfully presenting to video on all of your Facebook pages. I hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
Sorry, I muted myself while he was talking. So yeah, thank you very much, Andrew, and I'm sure you've picked up some good tips there. The reason we wanted to talk about pinning posts is because social media and Facebook is very transient, and sometimes if you've got an event coming up, you've got to keep bringing it up all the time and uploading it again to your Facebook page. But if you pin it to the top of your Facebook page, it is there until the event so it saves you all the work of having to bring it in all the time. I should say that Andrew's brownies are terrific. There are other brownies available, but they probably are the best. So if you haven't had the opportunity yet, go and talk to him. Anyway, one area of Rotary GB and I's action plan this year is to expand our reach. So for us to support this and help us spread the word of Rotary, the public image team would really appreciate it if everybody could log into the district Facebook, Twitter and Instagram pages and like and share to their own club and personal pages. This will certainly help to promote Rotary far more widely and expand our reach. Okay, so that's what we're there for, and that's what we're trying to do, is to get Rotary out to as many people as possible. Andrew also mentioned hashtags, and if you can't go into all these websites, just if you don't use anything else, please use hashtag People of Action, and also add @ Rotary GBI, and that means your post will then go out to Rotary GBI as well. Okay, and don't forget that Andrew is available at any time to help you with your club's social media. So if you have any queries at all, contact me, let me know what you, and I will pass those on to Andrew or one of the other members of the team. Anyway, I'm now going to hand you over to Maggie Abbott from the Swansea Club, and she's going to give us some extra tips on photography and the best way to use a camera. Thanks, Maggie.
you. I believe that Ian is going to share my my PowerPoint presentation. Well, the old adage that a picture tells a story, that's never been more true, has it, in this age of 24-hour news, digital technology, social media, and of course the way we communicate with each other through our WhatsApp and Messenger pages. So it is the thing that we can all do these days. Most of us can take photographs on our phones, and on top of that, we've got access to simple editing software such as cropping, enlarging, filters, and the like. And the most important thing I hope you take away from this presentation is that it's the action that tells the story, not the outcome. So it's the duck race, not the money that you present from the duck race. I think most of us have taken that on board. Also, as well as presenting the money to a charity, when you present that money, it's probably better to do it in situ with the charity rather than men in suits at a dinner presenting some money. Checks are out of the question these days, aren't they? So it's all about the action. Use photographs of the event and not the outcome. This, I think, is a good action shot that I took a few years ago at the Disabled Sports. There's lots of lovely photographs from that day, but I particularly liked this one because it showed it in action. Next slide. Next slide, Ian, please. So before that, sorry, go back. Right, first thing I do want to talk to you about as well, and very important to remember, this is copyright. It's such an important topic and few clubs have been burnt by it. So don't ever use a photograph taken by someone else unless that person has given you permission. And that includes taking photographs off the internet. I think we know that of clubs that have fallen foul of this because there are algorithms in a lot of these photographs and they can lead to the person that's used it, and you could find yourself facing a big bill. If you want to use a photograph that demonstrates what your event is about, but you haven't got any suitable photographs, well, there are stock sites you can visit, such as Shutterstock and iStock, and they're not very expensive, and you can use them for marketing purposes. Or the other place to do is to download it from the Rotary Branding Centre, which is on the My Rotary website. Next slide, in. So these are from the Brand Centre. I mean, I don't even think these photographs were taken in the UK, but you see them used quite a lot because they do demonstrate what Rotary is all about, working with children in one shot, and also the painting an old building in another shot. I think that one was in America, and I think the other one was in Poland. I'm not sure. Anyway, they're very good visuals that we can use. Free. Next slide. Obviously, if you're going to be photographing children and vulnerable adults, you do have to follow the Rotary guidelines, which are available on the RGBNI website. And even though schools may say that they have permission, take your own permission forms with you at an event. And if you're doing something, this was a BAFTA presentation presenting awards to the year sixes as they left their school. Make sure that all the children are in the photograph are able to be photographed. In this one on the right, that was a fete that we took part in. Every child that came that I photographed, I asked if I had to get permission from their guardian. It's a bit of a faff, but at least you know then that you can use the photograph. So again, that is very important. So you've taken your photographs, but perhaps it may not be. Can you move on to the next slide, please, Ian? Sorry. Right. These are the tips for taking a good photograph. Now, if you've got a digital SLR, that's brilliant because you've got all the ISO settings and etc. on it, but that can take some time. And I'm a pointer and clicker, actually, I'll admit to it. Make sure that the lighting is right. So take a couple of photographs of the lighting before to check. And also check that there's no background obstacles. I think one of the worst ones is wall lights. People take pictures of people by wall lights and there's a wall light between them or it's sticking out of their head. make sure there's no obstacles in the background to distract from the main object. And check that everyone is appropriately dressed. That can go wrong as well. That's an important one. And these days with digital, it's everywhere, including in our news media. So although RAW, you can shoot in RAW format on your digital SLR and on some phones, JPEG is the best format for digital. Next slide, please. So as I said, you can take photographs and they may not be 100%. So there's little tips that you could do with editing software to improve them. This was what I took a couple of years ago of our previous president. These children had done a stained glass project and it was quite a nice shot, but if you could see from the top right, simple mistake, I was pointing a clicker, as you can tell. I don't check these things out. And to the right, you can see that the lens shield is at the top of the photograph. So just edited it out, basically. Cropped that out, enlarged the photograph, and actually it turned out to be a much better shot for it. Next slide. Now this was one of the events that we have done more recently. I think it's probably one of the first events that we've actually done for a little while. And it was a fashion show, which is something we do, or we used to do, every single year. I wasn't taking the photographs on this occasion. This was actually taken on a mobile phone. It's quite a good shot of us. We're all lined up nicely, but there's an awful lot of debris in there that I don't want. There's a hanging rail, a few things on the floor, staircase, all those things, and also some lights at the top. All those things are just things that I don't really want them to picture. They're cluttering it up and taking it away from being a sharp photograph. So next slide. Same picture, tighter shot. The light fitting is only partially there now. You can see the clothes rail, but it doesn't look so untidy behind us. You do expect that anyway in a fashion show. And it's a much tighter shot. And that was the one that we used. Next slide. Now, this is something we used to do regularly. We used to run these Bulls events. And this was one that we did with Mumbles Club, actually, a few years ago. And it was a nice shot of the band. That was the marquee that we had for the band. And as you can see, we wanted to get the sponsor's name up there. But if you look at it, there's a lot of, I didn't go around with the GIF beforehand, which perhaps I should have done. There's a lot of dirty marks on that, which I think personally detracts from the shot. Now, this is just simple software that I've got on my Mac, and I think other computers have got, you can download simple software that you can do to enhance a photograph. And in this case, I just wanted to remove as much as I could of that dirty background. So I pressed the retouch button, which is halfway down on the menu to the right. And that gave me like sort of an airbrush. Next slide in. As you can see, I'm blotting it out in that particular screenshot. And then the next slide. It hasn't gone completely, but it's a much cleaner looking shot. You can see the sponsor's name quite clearly. That was a better shot to put on our social media pages. It presented a much better image of the club, I believe. I'm now going to talk just a little bit about uploading photographs on social media. Next slide. Here we have our Swansea, actually, Instagram page. I'm hoping a lot of you have now moved on to Instagram, particularly as it's linked to Facebook now, and you can link your two social media sites. Younger people tend to use Instagram more, and it's a much better medium. So you're loading up your photographs. As you can see, there's our profile about Rotary Swansea there, and at the bottom of that profile, that you can see there's some to the right. There's some squares, and you can either press those as multi-squares or just a single square. But Instagram, I always tend to use more than one picture if I can. Your camera roll comes up, you click on that, and you can select the photographs in the order that you want them to appear. And the wonderful thing about Instagram is it also comes with lots of lovely filters that you can change all the background and everything of the photograph, make it look even better. Next slide. And here is Twitter. This is the district Twitter site that I often help administer. Again, uploading photographs onto Twitter. You can only put one photograph up on Twitter, and you can't put long videos, but you can put shorter videos on, such as Andrew demonstrated earlier. Again, to upload a photograph on Twitter, you look at the left-hand side, underneath the profile, you look at there's a little picture of like two mountains right on the left, and that is what you click to load up your photographs. Next slide, Ian. There's a photograph, my camera roll again. You just pick those pictures, click the pictures that you want, and it will appear. Now, the fashion show might not work very much well on Twitter because it does tend to crop top and bottom photograph. And a little word about Twitter, because I actually think that Twitter is a medium that we're not using as much as we should. Because it may not be the potential Rotarians that are looking at Twitter, but it is the opinion leaders. And that's what I tend to use Twitter for. Tag them into my posts, not too many tags. Again, you don't want too many hashtags in a post, not too many tags, but tag in people that you want to know about your projects, etc. Most schools are on Twitter. So that's a good way of getting into the schools and sharing their photographs and so on. I think the schools are a very good one. One of the things we did in our Rotary Club last year was for the Polio Day, we sent out some crocus buttonholes to local politicians. So that was the list members of the Senate, 3 or 4 members of the Senate, leader of the council, deputy leader of the council, Lord Lieutenant, High Sheriff, people like that. We sent them a crocus with a little bit of spiel about what it was all about, our Twitter address, and lo and behold, I should have perhaps had some of those in my slide. A couple of the assembly members, the MP, the Lord Lieutenant and the High Sheriff all shared their photographs of themselves, tagging into us, wearing their crocus buttonhole. So Twitter is a very useful medium. You never know who you might get following you. We have those people now following us on Twitter. A charity that I'm involved in that deals with positive aging has Joe Wicks now following them on Twitter. So it's a very, very useful medium. Don't overlook Twitter. So that's all I have to say for now, unless you have any questions for me.
Thank you very much, Maggie. Does anybody have any questions? If you do, could you raise your hand, please, in the reactions box at the bottom? I can't personally see any hands up, so I think you may have got away with it. I think you've got everything that needs to be known about taking photographs out to our members here today. So thank you.
There's 2 hands up, Maggie.
2 hands up, right? Okay.
I'm the first one.
I can't see them, Ian, so if you can let me know who's got the hands up, please. Oh, yes, I can.
I got the first one, if that's okay.
Oh, yeah, right. You've got a question.
It's just a quick thought and comment. When I'm getting photographs for the website, I need a photograph that is not centralized on the main group, but with lots and lots of background all around the main group at a high resolution. Now that gives me flexibility to actually edit and change the shape of the photograph. So for instance, I can have it as a carousel long at the top, or I can have it a tiny one next to a title or something similar. So if you're doing it for a website, take the central view, but then open up so you've got lots of background at a high resolution. Thank you. The next one is Peter Hamilton.
Yeah, that's great.
Maggie, good morning. Just a quickie. When you are using Instagram and Twitter, and Facebook. Are you only using your mobile phone or are you using a desktop?
I use all of them actually. I do mainly use my mobile phone, I must admit, because it's so quick and easy. But I can access Instagram and Twitter on my laptop and Facebook. So,
Thank you.
And I can see that Julian Pratt has got his hand up as well. So Julian, have you got a quick question?
Yes, I just a thing about the copyright issue on photographs. My son on his business, on his website, apparently used a picture that belonged to somebody else, and Getty interrogate all these websites and threatened him with legal action about this one picture of a bunch of grapes. And they finally settled for £3,000 compensation. So one should have no illusions about how serious this business is.
That's right. Yeah, I agree. Thanks for that, Julian. I hope your son survived that ordeal. But yes, be very, very careful, as we said earlier, with your photographs. So anyway, thank you very much, Maggie. That was absolutely excellent. As I said earlier, it's absolutely great that the majority of you do have your own club social media platforms and are regularly sharing your stories. However, social media is very transient. So we also need to have a good website presence, which is more of a permanent platform for your club and allows your own club members and the public to be able to access information about the club programme and your projects. Now, as I said earlier, we have a tremendous team of web administrators who will help you with your websites if you're having any difficulty at all. One of my requests to all clubs is that you regularly check and refresh your website. Now, last year, the template website was updated. So let's all make sure that we regularly give our website a spring clean in order to keep it relevant. Now, as I mentioned earlier, all members, regardless of their technical ability, should keep an eye on their club's social media and web pages. Now, although you will have a club web administrator, as a club member, I would ask you to please click on the links, go into your homepage and click on the links at the top every now and again, just to ensure that as a member, you are happy with what is being featured on your public facing site. It isn't just the responsibility of the webmaster. So if there's anything you are not happy with, just make sure that the webmaster knows and he could take it down, or you might have some better photographs that you want to share. Now, when looking at club websites, I have noticed there are one or two recurring themes which do need to be put right. And you can do this very, very easily and quickly. And I just wanted to give you a couple of examples. So I think Ian is going to share screen for us and put up one of the slides. And this is the contact us slide. I think Ian has got it somewhere.
It's on its way. It's on its way.
It's on its way. Thank you, Ian. And if you think of your home page, you've got some icons across the top. So the home page of your website now we're talking about, and we're looking at the contact us section. So I don't know if that's coming up, Ian, is it? If not,
yes, here it comes.
Okay.
Hold on.
Talk amongst yourselves a minute.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, no problem. There we go. So it comes up. Sometimes what I've found is when I've gone onto club websites and I clicked the contact us, sometimes they don't have any details there. And what comes up is this type of page. And it just means that I think there should be one before that, Ian. I think there's, no, maybe not, sorry. But basically, it's not a good look. If anybody is looking for information about your club and they want to contact you, you should have a contact page where they can complete and contact with your telephone number and website so that they can contact you. And it's very, very, very easy to put right. Okay, so if they're missing, you're going to get this error page. On the bottom of this slide, you can see the solution is to log in, get your club administrator to log in, enter the various details with the club, and that makes sure all the meeting details come up on that form, so that when the public or anybody contacts you, they can see it. Okay, if we go to the next slide, please. Let me just look at this one. Yeah, that's, sorry, I've lost that as well. So when we talk about keeping your homepage relevant and up to date with your live, we can add your live links to all your social media platforms, and including the Rotary GBI social media and Rotary International social media. And Steve Jenkins has created a how-to sheet with easy steps of how to do this, which is available on the district website. So you can add these onto your homepage of your own club website, and it just gives it more life, brings everything much more up to date. And I just wanted to show you another very quick video, a very short video, if we can please, Ian, which is entitled How to Improve Your Website. So this might help you with a few more ideas as well. Okay, so we're going to give Ian time to come out of the screen and go back in again. So let's have a look at this. Thank you very much, Ian. And just as it says on that video, photographs are so important. And when you go to your home page again and you click on the More button, which brings down the gallery of photographs, please check those as well. It's not just up to your club administrator, but please check those, because quite often what I tend to find is that some of them I've looked at go back to 2016, which isn't really a good look for your club. And just if it's an annual event, like youth competitions or things you do on a regular basis, just remove the date. Because if the photograph is still relevant, please take the date off, okay, to show that you are keeping everything up to date. If we've got any questions on websites, you can ask us at the end. But basically, as I said, we've got some really exciting bits to share with you next. And that's, I'm going to hand you over to our PR officer, and that's Rob Lloyd. As you can imagine, he is very, very busy. He's got a full-time job as content editor for Trinity Mirror. So we're actually delighted that he's taken time out to be with us today. And I know he has to be back to work by 12 o'clock today. So once he's done his bit, I'm sure he's going to be leaving us so he can have a cup of coffee before he starts work again. As a full-time journalist, Rob is going to chat with Maggie and let us know what he is looking for with regard to a good story and photographs, which he would then include in his newspapers. So I'd like to hand you over to Rob Lloyd and Maggie Abbott, please. Right. And I think there we go. Over to you.
Okay, Rob, I just nice to see you again. There you are. You can
Sorry,
get
Dan.
out.
Good morning, everybody. And can I say how nice it is to see everybody after such a long time. But
Yeah, lovely to see you, Rob.
yeah,
Yeah, I thought I would start by asking you, what is the best way to contact your local newspaper? Could you try and develop personal contacts? Is it worth quite a few newspapers you can just put something on the website, or is it best to contact the news desk? Which would you say is the best way to get in touch?
yeah. I mean, the first point really is work out, where your audience is. I mean, if you're in an area and say it's been served by the Tenby Observer, then it's worth you making contact with somebody working on the Observer personally and using them as your main contact to give you a flavour for what's happened in newspapers. I mean, they've and online, obviously websites as well. Everything has changed dramatically since I think since I last spoke to you. They've changed every year anyway. But if you take an operation like Wales Online has something like 10 different news editors. So even if you've established contact with, one of the senior editors, Dave James, whatever, he may not be the guy in work on that particular day. So in the case of Wales Online, it's probably best just to, establish a contact with these guys if you can get through them to talk to them. But the email address for Wales Online will be newsdesk@walesonline.co.uk, and that would be you're in basically. If you're lucky enough to have an individual person you can contact on your local newspaper, then please do that. In the main, they're very busy people at the moment because they're handling more than one newspaper. I don't know if you see it in chat, I handle a number of newspapers, a raft of different newspapers. So for somebody like me, a phone call isn't necessarily the best way to contact me. My email basket is the best way to contact me. So if you've got stories for the Western Mail, Southers Echo, Southers Evening Post, Wales on Sunday, or any of our weekly titles in South Wales, then the email route is probably the best one. That doesn't really say don't ring me, because there will be occasions where it may be that you need to get in touch with me in a hurry. If there's something pressing, there's a press release you've sent me and it's about an event which is happening on Saturday and you need to get in the paper, then by all means give me a quick ring. But don't be surprised if that phone call is pretty short if you catch me in work, because it's a busy operation, and it's not being antisocial and saying I don't have time to chat to people, but keep it as short and sweet as possible. Just give me the facts of what you want, and hopefully that'll resolve the issue and get the story in as soon as possible. Just going back, while I remember, to one point that you raised, Maggie, and I think another of our speakers raised it about copyright, because I can't stress that it's so important to us, because you or ourselves as Rotary would get a problem with copyright if you infringe it, but if you've sent something into a newspaper as well, you're just passing the problem on. We'll get hit with it as well. And we have a number of issues where people have sent things to us. We've accepted it in good faith, but obviously it's breached copyright. And as one of the previous speakers said, we get caught, which means that we will take a dim view, or that we'll be more careful with what we receive you in the future, because we just need to be assured that you've done the right checks, you've sent things into us correctly, and so on. I just alluded a little bit on how things have changed. To give you an example, we no longer have within reach lots of branch offices, so it's not as if you can pop into the Swansea office to say hello to people, or Llanelli or Carmarthen and anything like that. We just have one office now in Cardiff, and again that's on sort of the 4th floor of a building in Cardiff, not particularly user friendly. So the world has changed in terms of how you make contact people now. Everybody's working, or basically 80% of people are working from home. So you might actually find that in your area that you actually got local journalists, whatever, who may be covering a different patch, but they're actually living in your area. If you're lucky enough to find one of these people, then, for example, we've got a page editor who actually lives down in St. David's and works from there. And again, he's found that if he's walking through a town in St. David's and he gets people coming up to him, they know him and they know what he does, then he's quite happy to pass on information into the food chain so that it gets into the newspaper, so to speak.
That's very useful, Robert, and very comprehensive. What would you say was the anatomy of a good press release? I know that it's tempting, if you've never written for that sort of for a publication before, to put what's happening at the end, and just have a lot of preamble. And you've mentioned how busy you are and how much you've got coming in, and you haven't got time to read everything thoroughly. So what would you say was the anatomy of a good release that they said to you that you're more likely to read?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, simplicity is everything. If you're sending something in an email, put the subject line in, what a brief description, what it's all about. If it is a story which is embargoed for any reason, say, for example, if you've got a royal visit coming up and, the prince is coming down to see your Rotary Club celebrate 100 years, whatever, if it's going to embargo, put that in the subject line of the email as well, so we know straight away that it's a story which we have to wait on. If it is related to a specific event which is happening in the future, then put the date of that event in as well, so we can see very quickly, well, hang on a second, this story relates to something that happens on Saturday, or this story relates to something that's happening in 2 months' time, so we get a quick idea of how urgent it is. Don't get too hooked up. I mean, we're not expecting everybody to be trained journalists. Just try and keep it simple if you can. We don't tend to like, if you send in an email with attachments, there's no point in being too flowery and putting it on a template of a Rotary masthead and so on. Just give us the bald facts in the body of the email if you can, because the text in the email is quickly copied out and put into the software that we need to run the paper. If you send me a PDF, which is it's fine, okay, it just creates another step of work for somebody like me. So if I get a PDF from you, I've got to translate it back into a Google Doc so that I can work on the words and then cut and paste out of there to put it into our software. If you're sending in pictures, obviously attach them to the email. I'd say no more than 2 or 3 pictures. If it's a major event, and say for example, looking at the guys in Llanelli, there was a triathlon on. I know it's not Rotary, but it's something else. There was a triathlon here yesterday. The photographers there, they may say to us, so send us 1 or 2 pictures, and they say, okay, we've got a WeTransfer link. Anybody familiar with WeTransfer, WE transfer? It's a good way of getting lots of photographs to us. So they'll probably send us a couple of photographs as a sample, and then say if we want more, there may be 30 or 40 pictures more in a WeTransfer link, which we can then pick up if we want to feature it as a picture special, and so on. But by and large, keep it nice and simple. If you're sending words on an email, 300 words, 350 words maximum. Maggie, you said about the point, I mean, don't bury the news point in the last paragraph. I always tell people, try to think, how you would talk, as a youngster, if you were coming home from school, you saw something happening, how you tell that story to your mother. You simply say, oh, today at King Street in Carmarthen, a guy was knocked down, and so on. You just keep it nice and simple if you can. One way I use to describe it to people that we train here, is think of a rugby goalposts, and you've got 5 seagulls sitting on the crossbar on the rugby posts, and the seagulls are like W's. So you got the big H of the rugby post, which is the how, and then you've got who, what, why, where, when, and those are the things that you're looking for. So cover the who is in the story, what is it, why is it happening, where is it happening, when is it happening, and the big H then is for the how. And so think of 5 seagulls on a rugby post, and you've got the anatomy of a basic press release, in short. But yeah, keep it simple. Always include your contact details so that we know if there's a query on something, we can get back to you very quickly. If there are unusual spellings of names in the copy, you might have somebody with a very weird sort of East European name, whatever, put brackets after it, correct, and we know that it's been typed in correctly, then we know how to treat that, and then it's up to us to spot. We don't put the word correct in the paper, obviously, if we can avoid it. But in short, yes, keep it simple, keep it in the main body of the email text if you can. I appreciate sometimes you may want to send in attachments and all that, but in the main, the simpler the better for me, because if I'm handling hundreds of emails in a day, I just want to cut and paste quickly out of your email into our software, and then it'll be press ready for the paper, so to speak. Yeah.
That's excellent. That's very comprehensive answer, Rob. Thank you. Are diary markers a good idea to send a marker for the diary of events that are happening in the future?
Yeah, that's always a good idea, and it does give us a heads up, to say, but I'd keep it to very major events. We don't want diary markers for coffee mornings and stuff like that. If it's a big event that you're hosting, again, if you're doing something for the Jubilee, then it's worth sending through a diary marker. The other thing I'd say is keep your expectations low, because people will send us requests to send photographers out and so on. By and large, you're not going to get a photographer in attendance from Reach or Wales Online, because they're going to be engaged on other things, and it's a very small skeleton crew at the moment, which goes back to your earlier point about getting your photographs right. Take your own photographs, as long as they're good quality. And again, I think Ian made a point about the sort of dimensions that he wants for web use. As far as newspapers are concerned, if you minimum standard, we like people to send in JPEG photographs. Don't send in what they call raw photographs. If they're JPEG quality, don't send PNG files. Stick to JPEG. Minimum 200 DPI and a minimum width on the photo of 20 centimeters. So just think 20 centimeters, 200 DPI, and a JPEG quality. Do include a photograph where you can, because back again to your earlier point, pictures tell a story, and they're massively important for us in terms of filling the paper. We love to have picture stories in the paper. Again, don't forget captions. You'll be amazed. I get press releases from supposedly professional people in the industry, and there are many of them. They'll send us press releases, send us some lovely photographs, but there's no captions attached. We don't know who's in the photograph, and that just becomes a pain in the neck for me then, because I've got to go back to them. It's another step, another bit of aggro for me. I have to go back to them. Can you fill in the blanks and tell me who's in the picture? They then will send it back, and they may have sent me a caption for 4, and one the other day they said, and the 5th person is Di, and I thought, well, that's fantastic, and so I said, well, Di who, and then I had to go back to them again. So that's the third conversation with them, which anything which it creates more work for me is going to go down the priority ladder. So get me the information at the first attempt, and you're halfway there.
You're on the crisis team. You've head that up, and I just thought perhaps we might touch on that just slightly. I know that yesterday we talked about insurance and liability and risk assessment, etc. So obviously anybody putting on a Rotary event has hopefully done all the thorough risk assessments. So say it's a firework display or a fun day for children, done all the risk assessments, put all the safety procedures in place, made sure they got the Rotary insurance, etc., etc. But as we know, things can go wrong. What's the best way when you're dealing with a newspaper who get hold of the story, because someone will probably contact the paper and say this has happened, and it'll be a good story for the paper.
Yeah.
How's the best way to handle that? Would you say that, I know that insurance people tell you don't admit liability, etc., etc., but is it best to start off with apologising for what's happening, for example?
No, I mean, you want to be very careful about, that sort of knee-jerk apology sometimes, because that can get you into more liability than what you might appreciate. Because, one of the things, we have here is, we have a clear risk guideline of what we do as a newspaper. And the first thing is, obviously, if there is a potential problem, flag it up with somebody straight away. Like if you've got an event and your bouncy castle has flown away, child has been hurt, whatever, then you need to speak to somebody on the Rotary crisis team as quickly as possible to let the team know that there is a potential problem, and then we can work out a plan for how to deal with that problem. There are ways of, if you're a club and that has happened to you, and you haven't alerted the crisis team, try to avoid, if you get a call from a journalist, try and avoid making an immediate response, because that again could get you into trouble, and it's more work sometimes undoing things like that than it is getting it right in the first place. If you've got a call from a journalist, then you have to say, well, okay, hang on a second, we're still looking into the matter. Give them a promise of, we'll get back to you in 2 hours, or we'll get back to you by 2 p.m. Ask them what their deadline is, so they're clear how much time you've got to play with. If they've rung you in the morning, the likelihood is they probably haven't got a deadline till late in the afternoon. Once you've established what that deadline is, and what you've got a chance then to work out a response and a comprehensive response which can deal with the issues in question. It may be that, it may be that you have to get to the point where you apologize, but you want to be very careful about doing that in the first place, because it does give you other liability problems.
Basically point out that you are looking into it.
Yeah, that's right.
Get the deadlines and go back to them for that deadline.
And again, don't mess the reporters around in that. If you say you're going to get back to them, in 2 hours time or 3 hours time by their deadline, then just make sure that it is done. By which time we should have a coordinated response that we can give out. Okay, some people may take the view, like say, for example, if you had an accident and use the bouncy castle thing, that we should have the response on the stocks ready. Well, we would have a response on the stocks ready so long as the club had alerted the crisis team to the problem in the first place. And if we've done that, then it actually gives everybody else a chance to get their heads together, and you hopefully would end up with an A4 response that you'd be able to give to a journalist directly. But again, in most cases, don't be pressured into giving a knee-jerk response, no matter how much they people would pest you, whatever. A decent journalist is always good to give you that time. You simply say, well, we've just become aware of that issue, we're looking into it, and I promise to get back to you at a certain time. Okay.
Yeah, that's absolutely fabulous. Thank you very much to Maggie and Rob. And we really appreciate your time, Rob, coming in today. As I said, always fantastic information for us. And you will see that Rob has put his contact details in the chat box and all the newspapers that he covers. So if you've got any questions at all for Rob, I'm sure he won't have any objection to you emailing him with your questions. So thank you very much, Rob, and thank you very much, Maggie. Very comprehensive information on how to deal with newspapers in our area. Thank you very much indeed.
Maggie, I've got a little bit of time, Maggie. If anybody wants a quick question, whatever.
I'm really sorry, Rob. At the moment, we haven't got time.
Oh, there we are. That's fine.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed.
I got away with it.
I know, we really appreciate it.
Thank you very comprehensive, Rob.
It's very comprehensive. Thank you very much indeed.
Yes.
Well, as I say, Rob and Julian Platt has already alerted us to copyright guidelines, especially when we're using photographs. There is a link on our public image page to an excellent webinar. Plus, I have a short copy guide to copyright as well, and these will be included on the resources page. You always hear us talking about photographs. Maggie referred to it earlier as well. Please, 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 no photographs of what we call chain gangs, the firing squad, or big check presentations. Always think of the image that you are portraying to the public. Think action, and make sure those photographs look absolutely fantastic so that the public know of the projects you are doing. They're not really interested in how much money you've actually given to it. As I mentioned earlier this morning, in the public image page of the district website, all the links are going to be available to you. But we've just got one slide to put up at the moment, and I think Ian will have this ready for us. And it's the slide of Maggie. So just waiting for Ian to put that one up for me. There we go. Thank you very much. And I just wanted to share these two photographs with you. I spotted them on Facebook recently, and one is from Narberth and Whitland and the other from Llanelli Rotary. As you probably know, Narberth and Whitland have designed and obtained the license to sell Rotary scarves to raise funds for our polio eradication project. And we had a great model, as you can see, Maggie, and the poster was designed by Mary Adams on Canva. If you were unable to attend any of the recent training sessions with Mary, the recordings are available on the district YouTube channel, and I would add that link to the resources sheet. Llanelli Rotary are regularly holding beach cleans in their area, and Alison has also created this poster in Canva. So they are great examples of how to promote your projects. We're now going to take a very short comfort break, just 5 minutes, please, to give you time to make yourselves more comfortable. You haven't got time to go and make yourselves a bacon butty, and we have lots more to discuss when you come back. So if we can get you back by 11:25, that would be absolutely fabulous, please. So Rotary GBI now suggests that we do use contactless card readers. I know many clubs are already doing this, and they've given us quite a few recommendations for various types, but several of our clubs are now, in addition to the card reader, using QR codes. And I've seen clubs using QR, those are those very weird squiggly things, as I call them, that they're using them on their pull-up banners and their publicity leaflets and on the websites to encourage donations. And as I said, many of us have become used to these for track and trace. That as restrictions were being lifted, we were asked to scan, the little QR codes as we were going into cafes or wherever we were going, so that they had our information. I've put this slide up for you. It's a website called Give Star. It's a very interesting website which gives lots of ideas for fundraising, including free demonstrations. So it's worth having a look at that one, actually. I've included a link to their website in the resource sheet. And, so that you might find very interesting as well. Now, as we said earlier, making sure as well, and we talked about it yesterday, and Maggie referred to it earlier, making sure that with your event that you have done an event plan and a thorough risk assessment. We covered this in compliance yesterday. And we know that nothing is going to go wrong, because if you've walked through the event and checked everything, everything will be fine. But if anything does go wrong on the day, as we said earlier, as Maggie and Rob said, there is a crisis management policy. Now, this is available on the members area of the district website, but we do have a dedicated team who will deal with the crisis situation on your behalf. So please, if anything serious arises, and as I said, we've heard previously, haven't we, in other areas where a child was had seriously injured when it was for a bouncy castle, or maybe even died as a result. Whatever you do, ask your members not to talk to the press. Okay, ask them immediately to speak to me. Get them to come to me straight away. Because the specialist team is made up of myself, the district governor, PR, Rob Lloyd, and Maggie Abbott, and they will deal with the press. So if you speak to us first, make us very aware of what's happened, and ask your members to just refer anybody to us, and we will deal with the situation and get all that information out for you. So, and the next slide, Ian, sorry. We've just come out of sharing screen. I'm asking him to go back into sharing screen again. The next slide is some of the resources that you can use to support your event. This slide I've put up is one of the companies that we use. This is Rotostore. It's run by Archie Rawlson. He's a Rotarian from Scotland. But we also use Rotarian Chris Stacey, who runs Designer Print in Pontypool. And we also use Surf and Turf, who regularly advertise in the Rotary magazine. Now, I'm sure you all remember that we now have 2 Rotary branded gazebos for those clubs that don't have their own, and they're available to borrow. You have to book them through Julian Platt, sorry. And we also have the district sale flags, which you can book through me. But each of the AGs, the district governors, DGN, DGE, membership team lead, all have a set. You can't really see them here on the set, the roundels, so you can't see them. And all of the groups have sets of the roundels that are available for clubs to borrow if you don't have your own set. But they, as you can see on this slide, the Rotary wheels are available to purchase. I think the small ones are £35. The larger ones, they might have gone up to £45 now. The larger ones are about £80. But they're great portable items that you could carry with you. Just stick them in the back of the car. And whenever you've got photographs or any events, you can just bring them out. People can hold them. Very, very simple ways of showing that you are Rotary. If you can go on to the next slide, please. This is one of the pages I will email out to you. It's got all the links embedded, which will make it easier for you to search for all these things we've been talking about today. And then the other thing I wanted to do very quickly, a great resource for you is our district website. And this is where you can find a lot of the support that you require. So Ian is going to share screen again, but we're going to show you the home page of our district website. Please, Ian. It's a mine of information. You can pick up all sorts of things on there. I'm sure I can't even see Ian on the screen at the moment, so I'm sure he's there. There we go. We share the screen again. And if we can go to the home page, there we go. If you're not familiar with this, just Google District 1150 or Rotary in Southern Wales, and it'll bring you to this page. And as you're going down, if we can just scroll up a little bit again, scroll back up a little bit. We've got some photographs that run along the top, but Ian has already put a countdown to the district handover. And the district handover, when we hand over from Wayne to Ray, is on Saturday the 25th of June. And all the details are there for you to book your tickets. Now then, if we look, the home page is split into 3. If we look on the left-hand side, we've got featured posts, and the top one will take you to Rotary Radio. And you can do a lot, if you like, on Rotary Radio. You can send your stories into them. Laptops for home learning, which is a project. So these are fairly static on the left-hand side here. You can order your Crocus forms, and we've also got the district handover. Then we've got another section which tells you what's going on in the district within the next 30 days. Now, if you as a club have got any events that you want to promote, as long as you've uploaded them to your district website, to your own club website, your administrator can click a button and flick them across to the district page here, and they will show up on this section here in the left-hand side. Okay, so the district can promote your events. If you can scroll back up to the top, there we go. The middle section that we've got here is fairly static. The first section is asking if people are looking for a new opportunity, and they can click on and have a look at that video that we've got, and there's a button where they can join Rotary. And as we go down, we've got all sorts of things on that one. We've got our YouTube channel, and there's all sorts of news and everything that's going on that you send us. Okay, so there's various things about the Wrap Up project. We had our alumni doing a 24-hour marathon. So there's all sorts of little bits of news that will come up in that middle section. If we go to the right-hand section, and you can see we've got a live feed to Twitter, you will see we've got some quick links, and we can click on for public image and membership. There we go. If we click on that button and then click on public image, that takes you to our public image page. It gives you the contact details for all our members. But then everything that we've shown you today about the various videos, there's links to the branding information, there's links to the brand center, stationery templates, although as Rob said, please don't use these templates, but they're available if you feel you want to use them. It's better to do your own stories. But there's some tremendous links there to public image webinars and the public image newsletters. So there's a lot of information that you can pick up on the district website, and it's all available to you just by Googling District 1150 or Rotary in Southern Wales. And you can do the same by Googling our Facebook page, which is Rotary in Southern Wales Facebook, or Twitter, or Instagram. And as I say, there's on the middle section, there's a link to our YouTube section, which comes up with all the videos and things like that as well. So lots of things that you can find on there. Thank you very much, Ian. That's absolutely great. And if we can ask you again, please don't forget to please put the information, contact details for your public image lead in your club onto DMS, or email me if you get to a point where you don't know how to use DMS, or I'm sure there's people in your club who do. If you just email me, Maggie Hughes 704@yahoo.com, email me with your lead, that I can make sure that I keep you up to date with anything new that's coming out. But can I just say thank you very much for your input today. I'm sure you've picked up lots of hints and tips, and we'll do a little bit more training later on in the year. But I'm now going to hand you back to DGE Wayne, who's going to close this session.
All right, thank you, Maggie. And thank you all for your input to this morning's presentation. This, of course, was a whistle-stop tour of social media and publications in many forms, and the opportunities these present to us. I particularly loved the Swimathon video right at the start. It gave a great example of what can be done on social media and involving international engagement. As with our previous sessions, the recordings will be available afterwards, and I'm sure that both Maggies, Andrew and Andrew, who already advised me on podcasts, will be happy to follow up with you on any issue on a one-to-one basis. I also loved Rob's analogy to the anatomy of reports, 5 seagulls on rugby posts. This was very amusing, but at the same time, very helpful. Also, his advice on dealing with the press in crisis management. The clear message is not to offer a knee-jerk reaction. So thank you all for attending this session. There is one more session to follow, and I hope that you'll join us for these later today. So stay safe, and thank you for being here this morning. Bye now.